I feel like he wouldn't have to use his charms, though. I feel like he would have the authority. Then again, I don't know what his fucking job really is. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back to another episode of the Apothecary Diaries. We are on episode 4. I believe the episode's called The Threat. Before anything else, though, we do have a comment. We have Kelvin from the Patreon from the episode The Unsettling Matter of the Spirit. You actually make a good point that the locals of the village technically should have, I don't know why that's not an air quote thing. Sorry. Technically should have known about the poisonous plants in the area. If we want to make up a plausible reason, we could just assume that the soldiers didn't want to listen to some peasants who, in their mind, were trying to kill them. I don't think any actually died, it just caused nausea and difficulty breathing. Do sleepwalkers usually have their eyes open? Actually, yes. Although the person will look straight through people and not recognize them, they can often move well around familiar objects. If you talk to a person who is sleepwalking, they may partially respond or say things that do not make sense. It's actually a pretty wild condition. Now, I've never actually been around anybody who sleepwalked or was sleepwalking, so I have no familiarity with it. Obviously, why I asked the question during the episode. I also believe commenters in the comment section of the live reaction were saying the same thing, so I think you're backed up by the live response as well. I don't know if nobody actually died from the poisoning though. You're echoing the show when they say, or sorry, Maomao, when Maomao says it only causes nausea and difficulty breathing. Sorry, a little laugh from me. Difficulty breathing can kill you. So, uh, yeah, I guess it really depends on the health of the person being affected. Even nausea can kill you. Not like you might think of nausea as just like throwing up here and there. People used to die a lot from diarrhea and whatnot. Loss of body liquids for an extended period of time kill you, and especially if you don't know what's causing it. Like, you know, we don't know how long the soldiers have been dealing with this. I would assume long enough that it ate down on a couple of them to pass out. It's either that or the difficulty breathing was to such a degree that the first time being in contact with it knocked a couple of them out. And I think if you're like going unconscious due to your first contact with a thing, it must be pretty potent. Anyway, first explorational thoughts on the matter. That's all. But once again, thank you for the comment. I, of course, still have notes and the board to go over. But like everything else, we have the board changelog to make going over the board easier. And otherwise, let me zoom in a little bit here. And otherwise, we have the link in the comment section below, or rather in the doobly-doo, or whatever you call it. Doobly-doo is what I'm just used to hearing people call it. For you to click on so that you don't have to try and zoom in with your eyes on whatever hell is going on whatever visual space you can see this. So, the board changelog. We added the Emperor. I'm thinking he's the Emperor. Added Fuyu. Added the military officer. Connected Fuyu to Jinshi with a white line. Connected Fuyu to the Emperor with a white line. Connected the military officer to Fuyu with a purple line. Connected the Emperor to Li Hao and Gyokyu with a purple line. And turned the white line connecting the doctor to Maomao green. As an explanation, in case you're not familiar with my other shows, a white line is an unknown relationship. In this case, Fuyu and Jinshi have a working relationship, but not a personal one. So it's hard to tell what their exact relationship might be. So, white line. What's an example? Another, a purple line is love. romance, that sort of thing. So in this case, the military officer to Fuyu, that is relationship. That is a relationship, a romance, if you will. And green line is friendship, allies. Do I have a green line on here? Yep. The I turned the white line, turning the from Maomao to the doctor green. It seems like the doctor is now friendly with Maomao, whereas before they were off-put by Maomao operating within their space. So that is an example of a green line. Blue lines are relations. I know I'm using the word relationship a lot. Blue line is actual relations. Maomao to her dad. They are father, daughter. Um, Li Hao to the prince. That is the example of blue line. And obviously, a red line is who your enemies are, or some shows who killed you. And in this case, Gyokyo and Li Hao are enemies, or they were in the first episode. I'm still considering them to be, as it may also follow upon the conspiracy notes that I've been throwing out there. All right, on to the notes themselves. Watching the intro again, given how that flower in Gyokyo's domicile was poisonous and used as a plot explanation, then we have the Fuyu flower in last episode also being a plot point. I have to think that the knowledge of herbalism, or sorry, that a knowledge of herbalism would be a major clue to all of those flowers that just flash by at the beginning of the opening. Unlike when I try to locate a country by the plants in a manga during my reading of Vanada's Heart, I don't see any guessing going on here on my part. So I would say if I was like a better herbologist, or I guess whoever a person who studies flowers specifically, I'd have some real insight on the opening and what that might mean. I don't, so I don't. I'm just pointing out that I think there's something that I can't know going on here. The ghost at the beginning of last episode was doubly confusing for me because I kept remembering it having some sort of super exaggerated teeth when I was when it was leaning down over the service girl that was trying to get away from it. That, and it seemed to me like he was acting differently than Fuyu does later in the episode. I'm only putting that there as an explanation of why I kept focusing on that, because I really thought on the next time from last episode, the next time from the episode 2, the next time on episode 2 leading into episode 3, that it was expressing a different facial feature to that of Fuyu's. But now that that must have been Fuyu, I guess I was just entirely wrong on that point. The three servant girls are talking about how they found a poison needle in Lady Gyokyu's dress when she was pregnant, which would have been around the time Li Hu's pregnancy was also in swing to the prince. As I mentioned before, Li Hao got super sickly and Prince died, while Gyokyu didn't look half as bad, and Ling Li survived. Still just a theory that Gokyu might be the instigator, but they've been mentioned now that she's a princess of a foreign land, i.e., an outsider. Also, to my previous observation about Gyokyu walking into the shadow the episode before, she did it while talking to Hong Yang, who is in charge of those three, meaning they could be out of the loop and just making observations that relate to what Hyung Yang might be assisting Gyokyu with. And now it also occurs to me to also apologize ahead of time for mispronunciation of names. It wouldn't matter if I was talking about an American show, I would still be mispronouncing names. So just take it for granted that I'm going to get names wrong. Hopefully you follow along with. Gyokyo comes from a foreign land, as was just mentioned, and in talking to Maomao about Fuyu's story, she honestly seems to envy her when she asks if that makes her a terrible woman. Later, she appears to be looking out of the window longingly when the Emperor arrives to ask about Maomao. I have to think that these details are not unrelated. I'm making a note of that only because I recognize that they're possibly not unrelated, but I don't know what the relationship is yet. So it's a note for myself in the future to look back upon and say, these things were happening. How do they relate in the future to whatever I'm guessing at the conspiracy to be? Because I do believe there to be one. I want to say there is some funny differences between the sub and the dub. When Zhao Lan asks what she should do if she sees the ghost for real, sub Maomao dismissively says it's just a rumor. Dub Maomao mockingly says, try waking up because you're dreaming. Again, I enjoy watching it in the dub from my notes so that I get the chance to experience both versions for everything we do on this channel. Everything we do that I watch twice and take notes on anyway. There are some shows, obviously, I don't go over twice. I appreciate that Maomao is questioning Jinshi's role in the Rear Palace just the same as I have been. The difference being that she lives in the world and has some actual guesses as to what he might be up to. That I, a casual observer, wouldn't be able to manage. She thinks he must be above the matron of the serving girls, which we already know from the first episode to be true, but also guesses that he might be the Emperor's guardian, then suggests he's too young for that. She also suggests that he might be the Emperor's favorite, but the thing is that we don't know enough about the Emperor yet to even know if that's a possibility. This one I've just written down as a question. Is Gao Shun a eunuch? There seems to be the suggestion that he might not be. I don't exactly know what that would change, but it would be something that separates him from everybody else. If love makes a woman beautiful, what kind of medicine would it make? It was just a very poignant thing that Maomao says at the end of the episode that I thought was worthy of taking a note for, as it's obviously a thought that is now in her mind that could change things moving forwards. And my final thought here. Now, I'm happy Fuyu's story wrapped up so nicely. It was a rather touching reveal of intent and desire, all wrapped in a rather short mystery. But from what I understand of Jinshi's role in the Rear Palace, all this operated against what he is meant to do. We established that he tempts the concubines in order to weed out those whose allegiance isn't to the Emperor fully, like 100%. Fuyu quite literally made herself seem worse to the Emperor to try and avoid his gaze and be sent off to someone who her heart truly belonged to. Exactly the person who Jinshi would seem to be targeting, and yet he was smiling as Fuyu left to her happy ending, which leaves me all that much more confused about Jinshi and his role as well as his goals. As I said, those are my final thoughts on the matter. Uh, well, those are my final thoughts as of now on the matter of episode 3. Obviously, when it comes to the grounds of what, say, the conspiracy moving forwards might be, if it even in fact exists, I will constantly be leveling my thoughts back to previous episodes and how clues that may have been given in them relate to future details that are at play. That said, though, I said we just go ahead and hop on into the next episode and see what the threat actually is.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
I'm like 100% sure the subtitles on the episodes are not going to fix themselves. But as I've mentioned already, I have gone off on my own to read what the opening song says. Yep, there we go. Not happening. I've gone off on my own to read what the opening song says. I just don't really have any notes about it. I think I've mentioned before the ultimate opening ending song for me has been Red Birthmark from Witch from Mercury Season 2. Because it was like one for one telling us about what was going to happen in the show, and we could figure that out because some of the events had already happened. Versus this seems to be more of a... Okay, the note I recently made about love makes a woman beautiful, and can we make a medicine out of that, or what would a medicine like that do? I feel like the opening lyrics are kind of beholden to that same thought process, but there's an element of who Maomao is to who she wants to be or will develop into being that the opening lyrics kind of exposit upon. But again, we're only 4 episodes into the show, so it's really hard to determine if there's an element at play of that.
こんな下賤な食べ物をリファ様に食べさせる気？もっと豪華な食事じゃなきゃリファ様のお口に合わないわよね。こんなものリファ様にお見せすることすらはばかりますわ。リファ様のお口に合うと思っているのかしら。はあ。
Again, I think they're taking great pains to make Li Hao into a villain, and I do not believe her to be.
翡翠宮に皇帝が訪れた夜のこと。
I think it's interesting that she's not encountering poison, given how many times they indicate that these people have been poisoned or attempted to be poisoned.
帝に初めて声をかけられてしまった。
噂のクスシ殿に頼みたいことがある。
噂？嫌な予感がする。は。
リファ妃の容体が悪い。しばらく見てくれないか。
見てくれ。それはつまり直せと同義だ。帝の言葉は天上の言葉。断ったりしたら首が飛びかねない。御意。
Well, to be fair, look after her doesn't mean succeed.
他の妃の前で言う話でもないのに、帝はやはりつくづく帝という生き物なのだ。しかし、帝の勅命で来た人間にこの扱いとは、リファ様の次女にとっちゃ、玉葉様に仕えている私のことがよっぽど気に入らないんだろうな。
I mean, if they think Lady Gyokyo was doing it.
仕方ない。
I mean, they had a fight out in, like, the central square about Gyokyo possibly poisoning Li Hao, so why wouldn't they suspect a servant of Lady Gyokyo have poisoning her? Or attempting to.
おしろいの毒もまだ体に残っているんだろう。
どこのおしろいか。あれから使用禁止になったんだって。高級に残っていたものは宦官が全部回収したらしいよ。
そっか、よかった。
だけど、帝から頼まれ事をされるなんてマオマオってすごいよね。びっくりしちゃった。
Would that imply that she's getting poisoned from a different source, possibly?
頼むなんてよっぽど高級医官が頼りないんだろう。
マオマオこの後厨房だよね。
うん。
お料理頑張ってね。
ありがとう。よし。リファ様を見るにあたり始めたのが食生活の改善だった。
I feel like they especially would not trust the poison taster. Because it'd be really easy if you were working for Lady Gyokyo to say, no, this isn't poisoned, and just slip poison past.
いい加減にしなさいよ。ここは下賤の者が出入りするような場所じゃないのよ。
先は長そうだな。それじゃあ今度はこれとそれと。
Sorry, this is the element of the comedic parts that still also get to me, even though I'm in conspiracy mode. This is gonna take a while.
しかし まずは消化のしやすいものを食べさせて。
そんな貧しいものよりもまず病人には十分な栄養が必要に決まっているでしょう。
あれがいつもの食事か。確かに栄養は豊富だが、胃腸の衰えた病人には重すぎる。ちょっと考えればわかるだろうに。誰も止めないのか。
リファ様、食事をお持ちいたしました。リファ様のお好きなものを選びましたので、少しでも召し上がってください。リファ様、大変。どうしましょう。早く水を。大丈夫ですか、リファ様。
Could you express the fact that you're here under the Emperor's will to circumvent the head lady?
あなたみたいな下賤なものがいるから部屋の空気が悪いんだわ。早く出て行って。
Because these three have to be the servant girls. But there's four of them there, right? So one of them has to be the head lady.
ことさえできやしない。はてさてどうしたもんか。せめて触診だけでも。
必要ないわ。あなたのせいでこれ以上悪くなったらどうするのよ。
あのままだと衰弱死は確実だ。食事をしないと人は死ぬ。我が子を失ってから生きる気力をなくしてい
I
る
mean,
んだ。
that could be the thing.
帝の勅命に背いた罪で首と胴がさよならするまで何日あることやら。
何かお困りのようだな。
そのように見えますか。
そのように
I
見え
mean,
る。
Jinshi would be an in. So I feel like he'd have the authority to go over top.
なんなのあの女。ジンシ様とどうして。
いらぬ誤解を。
とりあえず中に入ろうか。
ジンシ様。
帝の計らいを無下にするのは美しき才女たちには似合いませんよ。
まあ、そんな無下になんて。そうですわ。私たちはそんな。
I feel like he wouldn't have to use his charms, though. I feel like he would have the authority. Then again, I don't know what his fucking job really is.
ほら、行け。
食べようとする意志はある。
Okay.
だが思った以上に衰弱が激しい。重湯に帰ればいけるか。
She's still wearing the fucking powder.
失礼いたします。前と同じ肌色。
So who's putting it on her? If she's too weak to eat, she's clearly too weak to put makeup on.
妃に化粧をしているのはお前か。
ええ、そうよ。リファ様には美しくあってほしいもの。それが次女の務めですからね。全部リファ様のためよ。当たり前でしょ。
そうか。
何すんのよ。
ああ、バカに折檻するだけだよ。
I mean, we know it's banned, so they shouldn't even be able to get it.
そのうち全身に毒が回るだろう。よかったな。これでお前も綺麗になれるぞ。お主体するリファ様と同じだ。
Deserved. This is all fucking deserved.
落ちくぼんだ眼下と食事も取れないような体。なんでこれが禁止されたか分かってんのか。
Maybe you should, like, clean it off of her? Why do you know?
リファ様が喜ぶと思った。
毒だっつってんだろうが。何も考えていない。自分が一番正しいと思って 誰が自分のガキ殺した毒を喜ぶんだよ。さっさと口をゆすいで顔も洗ってこい。おい、このままだと病人に触るだろ。この床もさっさと掃除しろ。
I mean, also clean it off of Liao.
おお、
I mean, actually, that should be your first
本
thing.
当に恐ろしいな。
やってしまった。
行きましょう。
リファ様の容体は思った以上に悪かった。
Also, not for nothing, isn't that woman gonna get fucking killed for
無理
this?
やり口を開けて流し込み、ゆっくり嚥下させるのを繰り返す。無礼など今さら言ったところで何も始まらない。換気を行うと香が薄れ、病人特有の匂いがした。あの無能どもは主人の体もまともに拭けないのか。あれでよく次女が務まるな。香を焚くことができるならその前にもっとやることがあるだろう。おい、湯桶と布の準備。はい。お前たちも手伝え。はい。
Well, I mean, if there's ever a reason for Maomao to get promoted up the chain,
商用の回数を増やし、体の
I have to feel like this is gonna be the start of
あ
it.
の、リファ様が嫌がっておられるのでは。
いえ、飲まねばダメです。一度に食べる量が増えると、少しずつ米粒の量を増やし、それも嚥下できるようになると、汁物とおろした果物を加えた。あの時の次女は謹慎を言い渡されたと。
Yeah, exactly. I think she would have been killed for
お
this.
しろいはリファ様のために隠し置いていたものだったらしい。回収し損ねた宦官はムチ打ちの刑になったそうだ。
At the very least, though, this could form a
ええ、誰かと違って忙しいので。
a bond of some sort.
差し入れです。
So it could seem like Yoku sent somebody over
ありがとうござい
to
ます。
help Liao.
おお、さすが気が利く。こういう豆なのがいい旦那になるんだろう。ガンガンだけど、それに比べて。
I mean, unless those are his old aphrodisiac ones.
困ったことはないか。お、なんだ？何でも言ってみろ。そちらの方、人手が足りないから誰か頼む。みんな急いで完成させてくれ。はい。
蒸気風呂ですか。
汗をかかせるのが大事らしい。
使えるんですかね。
使えるんだろう。
使えるものは何でも使わないと。
I don't know, it was just that scene, but she looked exceptionally tired. Like, sleep bags under her eyes, sort of thing.
どうされましたか？
どうしてあのまま死なせてくれないのか。
ならば、食事を取らねばいいことです。海をハムということは死にたくないからでしょう。
I mean, I suppose there is the difference between wanting to die and having the strength to do it.
そうか。そうだな。
Should also say, Maomao is not just an apothecary. She's got the knowledge of people who get, like, isekai from another world. Like ascendancy of a bookworm. That's what I'm talking about. The baggy under eyes thing.
お前を謹慎が解かれ、再びリファ様に仕えることをお許しいただきました。もうあのような過ちは犯しません。決して。交代いたしますので、少しお休みください。
そうか。
リファ様。リファ様。
ああ。少し水をもらえないだろうか。
I was worried for a second that she was going to try and knock the dish out of her hands, like, I'll never forgive you, sort of thing.
2ヶ月ほど過ぎると、リファ様は一人で散歩できるまでになってい
Ambulation is
た。
important.
自尊心はあるが高慢ではない。東宮のあれこれで嫌なお嬢様を想像していたのだが、実際は妃にふさわしい人格を持っていたようだ。
Is she overworking herself, or is there something else at play here? Can't get out of conspiracy mind.
それでは明日の早朝に辞させていただきます。そう。今後の食事のことやいくつかの注意点は次女に伝えてありますので。ねえ、私はもう子はなせないのかしら。
That's a super direct
わかり
question.
ません。試してみればよろしいかと。帝の寵愛はついえたのに。
I don't
私は
think so.
帝の命でここに来ました。
Yeah, for that
私
reason.
が翡翠宮へ戻れば、帝もリファ様のもとにいらっしゃるのではないかと。忠告の言葉も聞かず、みすみす我が子を殺した女が玉葉妃に勝てるのかしら。勝てる勝てないの問題ではないでしょう。世には100、1000の花がありますが、ボタンと桔梗のどちらが美しいかは決めつけるものではないと思います。私には翡翠の瞳も淡い髪もなくてよ。
She is a foreigner, as we discovered last episode.
他のものがあれば問題ないかと。
So did
これだ
Fuyu,
けの大き
if
さ
you
を見た
remember.
より、針、形は四方です。え？ちょっと耳を貸していただけますか？ええ。それでは失礼いたします。リファ様に伝えた置き土産はかつて遊郭の姉ちゃんたちが教えてくれた秘術である。
マオマオも覚えておいて損はないわよ。
Oh, okay.
残念ながら
I was like, this shouldn't be like news to a concubine.
リファ様にこそふさわしい
But I guess lower tier concubines that are out in like the general world would know things that a royal concubine wouldn't know.
ただいま戻りました。
おかえりなさい。マオマオ大丈夫？そんなにやつれて。
よっぽど大変だったのね。
帝の勅命を一人でやり遂げるとはなかなかのものだな。
I mean, not really all by herself. You helped Jinshi.
その
She
後
would have gotten in the
非
door
正
if not
規
for
への
you.
帝のお通りが極端に減った時期があった。
やっと睡眠不足から解放されるわ。
ははは。
マオマオが目を泳がせたのはまた別の話である。
What was that? Sorry, I'm back to conspiracy mode. What the fuck was that?
呪いだ。
Okay, well. Back to hints about what the next episode is about. What would be causing discoloration or burns? I mean, it could be something acidic. Here's the thing is, even in modern world, right, I don't know as much as probably the herbalist of the show does. God, this is Yasuba, right? God, I love them. I love their songs. Like, I don't even know their songs, just the way they sing, I enjoy. The clues I have at hand is that they're burning what seems to be planks, which I assume are etched with commands or notations or messages, and they are releasing some sort of weird coloration in the smoke or the fire, and people's hands are being burnt by it. So I'm thinking some sort of acidic, like maybe they're using a wood that they shouldn't be using. But they've kind of already done that with the poisonous thing from that village. So would they do the same thing again on a weird wood? Because I know there's like those trees that you touch them and they have like weird reactions.
次回暗躍。
Okay, two things. One, I think I'm right because they showed Maomao in what seems to be some sort of sorry, I don't know what you call like a incubator area for growing trees, like a little tree farm. Also, I guess that could be a specialty sort of farm for specific trees that have, say, syrup or things of that nature. Covert operations implies that maybe they're using a material that's not meant to last very long, wherein maybe they're sending secret messages to one another in a medium that's meant to dissolve. Arboretum. I don't know. Is arboretum? I think arboretum is a general catch-all term for. I don't know. You might be right. I am not knowledgeable enough to dispute, and I could be leading into my own. I could be leaning into my own misknowledge. What I think is right and is not right. So that said, yeah, I think that might be it because we might be back at play with the element that there is an ongoing military operation happening on the outskirts of what's happening in the show. And if that is the case, then maybe we're dealing with the barbarian thing again. And barbarians, I don't know. I don't know if it relates to the guy from the Fuyu episode. Could all be a thing. Could all be tied together. I don't have the evidence as of yet of what is happening on the outskirts. Also, the element that this was called the threat, and the threat was from the inside. Again, her own head maiden poisoning her. I don't know. It all worked out well. I appreciate that element. Also, funny that I kept calling out Maomao's sleeplessness, and it turns out at the end they all kind of got sleepless because the Emperor. Anyway, that has been the episode, but we've actually been missing out on something this entire time that I only recently went out of my way to find, and then had to do this whole search because apparently none of it's been translated. So then I had to find somebody who fan translated this, and we are now 4 episodes behind on it. So the plan in the future, I know I haven't said what the thing is yet. The plan in the future is we're going to do the thing that we were doing during Furen, which is watch an episode of it after every episode of Apothecary Diaries. But in this case, we're going to watch 4 episodes back to back to catch ourselves up so that next time we'll watch that episode and the 5th episode of this. So let me go ahead and load this up. And again, they are fan translated. You can see that right in the corner there. It says Benno subs, so in case you wanted to catch this on your own. But otherwise, I don't want to miss out on the side content to Apothecary Diaries. So let's go ahead and catch back up on things that we didn't know existed beforehand.
Maomaoの独り言。やばいやばいやばいやばい。年季が明けるまで下女としてひっそりと過ごす計画が。何が悪かったんだ。そばかす女の文字に反応したことか。自分のスカートを使ったこと。いや、そもそもおしろいの毒性を知っていたことか。
Again, this has to do with the first episode.
ここでマオマオの豆知識。おしろいは塩白という鉛を使用して作られている。鉛は非常に危険な金属で、肌から体内に浸透して中毒を起こす。
Otherwise, the lead pipes of Rome.
まあ、それを知っていたことで姫が回復したんだからよかったんだが、あの暇人のせいで。
薬やまた独り言か。
ジン様。出た、神出鬼没の暇人宦官。
おしろいが原因だったとはな。どうしてそこまで白くありたいものか。
色の白いは七難隠すと申しますから。
I mean, at least now we know it was a lead poisoning problem, and not just a random poison.
そういえば、お前の顔のそばか。
次回、不愛想なクス氏。ジンシ様から特別なお役目を申し付けられるらしい。
誰に話しているのだ？独り言か？
お楽しみに。
Alright, so, yeah, technically these are essentially next time ons, which is more elongated than the next time ons in the actual episodes themselves, except that they add context to the episode you just saw, like white lead being the main product used in the whitening agent on the makeup. I appreciate that. It helps me with my theorizing, especially if further episodes of this will have more of that. But that said, we have another episode of this because, again, we're back by 4. And now the aphrodisiac episode 1.
薬や。どうしたそんなに警戒して。
美薬の効果が持続しているのではないかと。
バレていたか。チョコレート美味しかったぞ。
ここでマオマオの豆知識。チョコレートに使われるカカオには興奮作用を引き起こす成分があるため、恋の胸騒ぎや安心感に似た効果があ
I
る
guess
と
if
か。
you've never had chocolate before.
なんだまた独り言か。
ジンシ様、美薬の過剰摂取にはご留意ください。鼻血の他に肌荒れを起こしたり肥満になることもありますので。
なるほど。わかった。
この男の場合、少しくらい見た目に欠点ができた方がいいのかもしれないが。
心配してくれてありがとう。
I mean, the dude like barred his door.
次回、幽霊騒動。城壁の上で待っていたのは一体誰なのか。被害者が続出しそうだな。美薬を作るのも。
That was the weird thing about the ghost thing. that there was victims at all, because it didn't seem like Fuyu would act that way for there to be victims. But then again, they were just scared people that ran away, so maybe victims is like nothing really. Sorry, what I was going to say before is that he barred his door under the threat that there was a person giving him aphrodisiacs that was going to visit him that night. So I guess that is also pretty funny. The idea that her only concern was that he'd have a physical drawback because of eating too much chocolate. Alright, we got one more for the last episode.
Maomaoの独り言。不要費、美しかったな。調合できない薬もあるということか。ここでマオマオの豆知識。不要の花言葉は繊細な美、しとやかな恋人。いかにもふさわしい言葉だな。
Oh, Chinese hibiscus is the actual name for the flower that they were talking about during the episode.
どうしたそんな顔を
This
し
is
て。
what, cotton
元からこ
lily
ん
or
な顔
something?
です。
わかった。またものすごく失礼なことを考えていたのだろう。
とんでもございません。
本当か？
うざ、疑り深く粘着質で。あ、まただ。ガオシュン様が言っていた毛虫でも見るような目をしてしま
He
った。
likes being looked down upon.
毛虫にも失礼な気がしてきた。
高級管理者の目を見て話さぬとは無礼だぞ。
次回、恫喝。なんだかまた厄介なことに巻き込まれそうな雰囲気だな。
It's funny because in this next time on, that is the most, I don't know if angry is the right word. That's the most angry he's looked down at her in anything. So he's been more upset at her in a next time on than he has in the show itself. Anyways, now we have the final one, which is for episode 4, which is the episode we just saw, and then we'll be completely caught up on these Maomao trivia segments.
マオマオの独り言。あー、疲れた。蒸気風呂にでも入って酒が飲みたいな。
You think maybe she made the steam bath for
ここで
herself
マオマオの豆
with the
知識。
trivia for it being for the
蒸気
princess?
風呂の利点は血行が良くなること。毒や老廃物を押し流して捨ててくれるのも血液の仕事。その通る道である血行の流れを良くすることで毒の排出を促す。
薬屋、ここにいたのか。
本当に暇なんだな。でも今回は
帝の勅命を一人でやり遂げるとはお見事であった。
滅相もありません。リファ様のご回復はジンシ様のご尽力と水晶宮の次女の献身さの
That's
賜
what I
物。
said.
決して私一人の力では。
水晶宮の次女といえば
どうかなさいましたか？
お前が暴力沙汰を起こした時のことを思い出してな。
It was a very good part of the episode.
大げさな。花町じゃあんなの日常茶飯事だぞ。
次女たちの薬屋を見る目が鬼か妖怪を見る目つきで
やたら水晶宮にやってくると思ったらこの男、私に向けられる視線を盗み見て楽しんでいたのか。
It's a view that he enjoys.
またまた高級に呪いの噂が巻き起こる。
あの次女の視線と言ったらあれ薬屋おい薬屋
I guess that's a clue as well. That they're indicating that they're viewing it as a curse. But then again, they view everything as a curse, so it's not a huge clue. I think I'm right. It's a sort of acidic wood. There's those trees that they tell you to avoid at all costs because I don't remember what it is. It's like it can cause blistering, extreme pain, or whatever because they excrete some sort of like liquid that just does not go good with the human body. I don't know where they exist, but the fact that they exist somewhere might then preclude there might be other trees like that. Because it has to be something with the wood. The fact that they're burning it and it's changing hues, there's got to be something in the wood. And I have to think that the episode being called Covert Operations then has to do with the fact that they're using that wood for very specific messaging. So maybe there is a greater conspiracy at play, not the whole poisoning thing, but towards an effort with the barbarians. And again, the fact that Goku is an outsider from a foreign land. Need more episodes. Need more episodes to be able to figure it out. But yeah, now we're all caught up on trivia things. So when it comes to watching future episodes, we'll have that episode and then the trivia thing instead of just the episode itself. Again, same way we were doing Furen back in the day, except this time in live recording. So that said, I think we're done for the day with Apothecary Diaries. So I have been Theta. This has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?